I very much hope that you choose to represent the people. And if not, I hope that we can vote people in who will represent us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Dee Schrantz.
No D.
All right. Carol Woodall.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay. Hello. Thank you very much for holding space, everyone. My name is Carol Woodall, and I'm a core team leader of Canada Geese Protection Colorado. Canada Geese Protection Colorado's performance protest adds voices to the discussion around the city and Denver Parks and Rec's hush decision to call the Canada Geese in 2019 and 2020. You will be hearing a lot of individuals reading letters of individuals who have never received responses or feel as though their voices have not been heard. What we ask is that the members of City Council and Parks and Rec's Advisory Board consider the local, national, and international registers of protest letters against the use of killing, including the voice of Dr. Jane Goodall, an indication of meeting population management goals. Curtailing a 2021 call is not a definitive statement against the call and in support of methodical uses of non-lethal methods. The letter that I'm reading is written by Robert Honish, who is a Denver resident. He writes, "Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, I'm writing today because I am concerned that 400 to 500 Canada geese were rounded up and killed by USDA Wildlife Services across Denver. These cullings are unnecessarily cruel, ineffective for population management, and a complete waste of taxpayer dollars. I, Robert Honish, oppose any killing of Canada geese before fully implementing non-lethal, humane methods of population control and without direct, meaningful, substantive public notification and engagement. Please understand the cruelty and unnecessarily violence that is being committed against those who cannot speak up for themselves and stop the continuous cullings of Canada geese within our city. Thank you, Robert Honish, and I also thank you on behalf of listening to these voices. Good evening.
Thank you. Up next, or it looks like we went back. I think we're trying to get Dee on. Dee Schrantz, you can go ahead.
We've got B, Pfeiffer.
Okay, B. Pfeiffer, you're up next. Thank you. You're muted. There you go. Oh.
Okay, thank you guys. Hello. Thank you guys for hosting this public comment session. My name is Pfeiffer B, and I live in Missouri now. I'm a former resident of Denver, Colorado. I also would like to read a letter. Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, the decision to kill resident Canada geese by Denver's Parks and Recreation and its contractor, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services Division, flies in the face of the law and the advice of experts, and ignores appeals from those in the local community who are calling for humane treatment of this species. Numerous humane alternatives to control the population have been offered, but still the killing is set to go ahead, leaving those of us across the globe astonished with such a decision at a time when such ignorance and disregard towards animals is showing such disastrous effects to them and to humankind. If we want to survive, we need to create a healthier world that respects the environment and all the species we share it with. Cruelty is what has led us here. And CEO of Animals Asia Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Sarah Hagelin. We'll get you unmuted here. There you go. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Sarah Hagelin, and I'd like to thank the Denver City Council for hosting this public comment session. I'd also like to second the sentiments expressed earlier by Adrian about the need to support the unhoused during this pandemic, and also the need to hold the police accountable for excessive force. But I am also here tonight to read a letter of concern from abroad that's directed toward Denver Parks and Recreation. Dear Mr. Gilmore, my name is Ninka Koistra, a behavioral biologist from the Netherlands. It has come to my attention that Denver Parks and Recreation, under your direction, is in the process of rounding up and killing up to 4,000 resident Canada geese. This act is concerning to me deeply for several ethical and societal reasons. Geese are a highly emotional species, known to form close bonds. Lethal ways of population control are inflicting incredible fear and suffering on the geese by abruptly disrupting lifelong bonds and by stripping the geese from a right to their own existence. It is our duty as human beings and your duty as a leader to reduce suffering wherever we can. And as non-lethal humane alternatives exist, I strongly encourage you to explore and resort to these. By resorting to brutal solutions, the voices of local residents and advocates for America's wildlife are disregarded. And these short-term and non-ethical acts do, in my opinion, not belong in a modern and civilized society. Increasingly more citizens, politicians, and governmental agencies condemn animal cruelty and are willing to invest in the peaceful coexistence of humans, nature, and animals. I urgently request you to set the example of a responsible, contemporary, and compassionate leader by ceasing the killing of the geese immediately and to resort to non-lethal means. Thank you, and I thank the Council for hearing our opinions.
Thank you. Up next, we have Kiara Johnson.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Hello. So first, thank you guys for hosting this public comment session. I know it means a lot to the people who are here speaking. My name is Kiara. I currently live in Lakewood, Colorado, and I am an activist and member of Canada Geese Protection, Colorado. I recently relocated to Lakewood, and one of my favorite things about this city and the state of Colorado was how peacefully humans and animals seem to coexist. The care and the compassion that I thought our city was showing towards our wildlife and the animals living all around us was one of the most inspiring things to me and contributed to me wanting to move here in the first place. Geese at Sloan's Lake is one example, have been hands down an absolute highlight of every day since I've moved here, which was back in January. Whether I was just driving to and from work, walking around the park with my dogs, or just driving by that park and seeing the young geese growing up every day and the flocks of these geese was just super touching and brought a huge smile to my face every single time. And I know so many people, not only speaking here, but all over the communities where these parks are located, feel the exact same way. Knowing what the city of Denver and the state of Colorado has begun doing with these innocent and sentient beings since last year, which I woke up one morning a few weeks ago when the culling started this year, and I probably cried for a good few hours. It was completely heartbreaking and really just angering. The actions and behaviors do not make me feel proud to be a Colorado resident at this point. And this really just needs to stop. A humane method to solving the problem of the park conditions and the animal droppings that everyone's so frustrated about and has concerns over is needed as soon as possible. So whether it's looking into relocating these animals safely to another place in our gorgeous state, or even setting up volunteering options to clean up after the animals, which I know a bunch of people would love to be a part of, the current method is such a waste of funds that could be used in so many needed ways. Let's have a different conversation.
Thank you. Up next, we have Rebecca Perry.
Can you hear me?
Now you're unmuted. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay. Thank you for hosting a public comment session. My name is Rebecca Perry, and I live in Aurora, Colorado, and I'm a proud member of Canada Geese Protection, Colorado. Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, I've heard chatter about another geese cull this year in Denver. Culls should be a last resort in wildlife management and are incompatible with robust ethical commitments concerning the avoidance of unnecessary harm or non-maleficence. Where alternatives exist, they should be exhausted before culling takes place. This is what a commitment to non-maleficence requires. And as I understand it, that alternatives have been exhausted is a matter of dispute. As a park professional, I can only imagine the conflict you must be experiencing on this issue, as it cuts to the heart of the relevant professional ethics standards, which must include a commitment to non-maleficence. Do know that you have the support of any right-minded person aware of the need to support professionals and aligning their actions with their profession's ethical standards. Sincerely, Dr. Andrew Fenton, Associate Professor, Department of Philosophy, Dalhousie University. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sierra Farnsworth.
Hi, thank you guys for hosting a public comment session. My name is Sierra and I live in Fort Collins. I'm 16 years old and I'm also going to read a letter written by a Denver resident. Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, I am writing in regards to the Canada Geese. I have lived in the Denver metro area since January 1995. Denver has always attracted people to it because of its love of wildlife. Has that love changed? Please stop changing Denver into a city my friends and family do not recognize. Parks devoid of beauty and the sounds of wildlife, parks that are barren, silent, and empty. I do not understand why Denver's officials have become so callous towards the killings of our beautiful waterfowl and other birds and animals. What does yearly killing teach our children? And what do we possibly say to them when they ask where the geese are? Last year, when the geese and their families and goslings were killed, it was done secretly and under the cover of darkness. The public was not given a chance to speak or know anything about it. Elected officials and public servants are paid for by our tax dollars, and we can vote them out. I will not vote for any public servant who does not advocate for governmental transparency to its constituents and humane methods for animal, geese, and human coexistence. What is very troubling is that we have just gone through and are still going through a pandemic. Many people face unemployment and financial devastation, but our money is being spent on killing geese. Personally, I think this act reeks of elitism and is devoid of sound reasoning and common sense. Sincerely and with kind regards, Sherry Black, resident of Denver. Thank you so much for hearing me speak.
Thanks, Sierra. Up next, we have Meg Garrido.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes?
Mhm.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for hosting this public comment session. I appreciate your ear. I too, my name is Meg and I live in District 8 in the city and county of Denver. I mostly love my city. I'm also a member of the Canada Geese Protection Colorado. I'm going to give voice to a letter written to Scott Gilmore prior to this summer's culling of geese. Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, please do not continue to kill the geese in Denver's parks. I moved to Denver in 1997. Through many life challenges, I would walk in the parks to find peace. I found joy in watching the geese and their goslings and the swallows flying over the lakes. But last year and this year, you intend to take that away from me and all the others that love the geese for no good reason. There have been lots of geese as long as I can remember, and they clearly have not harmed the parks. Poop, which seems to be what bothers people, can easily be removed by using a machine made for that purpose. This would be a much less expensive alternative financially and as far as the emotional toll killing of geese has taken. This year has been bad enough. Please don't make it worse by killing the beautiful geese. Written by Gloria Haley, a resident of Denver. Thank you for your time and attention.
Parking lot. I thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Liz Holland.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Go
All right,
ahead.
Thank you for hosting this public comment session. My name is Elizabeth Holland, and I reside in District 5. I also have a letter to read on behalf of the Canada Geese. Dear Mr. Scott Gilmore, I am writing to you on behalf of United Poultry Concerns to urge you to stop rounding up Canada geese and having them killed as a way of controlling their population. It's concerning that the city of Denver could use non-lethal methods to accommodate the resident geese, yet chooses a violent solution instead. Most Denver residents reportedly do not want the Canada geese and their goslings rounded up and sent to who knows what horrible end. Please do not claim that the dead geese are being fed to the homeless, etc. Even if this questionable claim were somewhat true, this roundup is not being done to feed needy people. For that matter, the poultry industry already produces tons of excess carnage to meet that goal. It appears to me and others that you enjoy this ugly procedure. Evidence of this enjoyment includes the fact that your department has other options, like, for instance, employing workers to keep the parks and other affected areas clean. I will never understand choosing to make animals suffer and die horrible deaths when practical, humane alternatives exist, as they do in this case. People are increasingly sick and tired of the easy, violent, unimaginative ways resorted to by federal, state, and local administrators to deal with animal nuisances. In point of fact, it is not the geese who harm and despoil the environment, but us. Let's do something that benefits the environment for which we humans take responsibility for our own behavior. Thank you in advance for your attention and consideration. Your response would be appreciated. Sincerely, Karen Davis, PhD, President, United Poultry Concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Jason